So you've booked a trip, but are you actually ready? Surfers typically spend so much time worrying about whether to bring a 6'2" or a 6'4" board, but surfing for 10 days straight on a boat, maybe 8 hours in the water a day, is very, very different to a 2-hour session at home on the weekend and then not surfing till the following weekend. One of the best things you can do to ensure you get the most out of your trip is to level up your fitness to make sure you're actually ready to make the most of those marathon sessions days on end. My name's Dale, I'm a co-owner of Renegade, and we run world-class surf coaching trips in some of the most progression-friendly waves on Earth, in the Maldives and Indonesia. Besides this, I'm also an online coach. I help surfers around the world level up their training on land so they can perform better in the water. By the end of this video, you're going to know which category of surfer you fit into, the 6 physical demands of surfing. You're going to know how to best prepare for your trip and where to focus most of your time and energy. And you're also going to get a link to a free surf-specific workout at the end of this video. Let's dive into it. So let's kick off with a description. What do I think surf-specific training is? Now, what it's not is jumping on a boastable, pretending that you're pumping down the line and mimicking the actual technique of surfing. That can be useful in certain contexts, but it's not how you level up your training on land. Surf-specific training applies strength and conditioning principles so that the athlete can surf their best in the water for extended periods of time. Simple as that. We want you to feel and perform amazing in the water. We want you to be able to do it a couple hours after for session number 2 of the day. And we want you to do that for days on end, so you're not sat on the boat on day 7 with your shoulders and your hips and your core absolutely cooked. So I find that surfers typically fit into one of 3 categories on their training before the trip. Firstly, we have the I'll be fine surfers. These guys and girls surf regularly, they think they're fit enough, but as I said before, surfing for 10 days straight, multiple sessions a day, is very different to surfing a couple times a week for an hour or 2. Secondly, we have the guys and girls that copy stuff off Instagram 2 weeks before the trip. They leave it too late. They realize, damn, I'm going to the Maldives in a couple weeks, and they search surf fitness, and then they've got themselves doing like random 360 jumps and burpees and stuff for 2 weeks. They've left it a little bit late. Group number 3 are probably doing best. They are the ones that train already. They follow a kind of general strength and conditioning program. This obviously is going to have a good crossover to surfing, but they're already investing time into the gym. They just need to turn that dial, make it a little bit more specific to their needs in the water, and they're going to have a good program. So how are we going to do this with our training? We need to look at the 6 principles of surf-specific training. So at number 1, we have paddle endurance. Probably one of the most important things, understandably. This simply is, are your shoulders, are your lats, is your upper body ready to do literally thousands of repetitions day after day? Number 2, we have recovery capacity. This is, are you able to surf in the morning, recover, do it again, recover, and do it again 3 or 4 times a day? And are you able to do that day after day? Number 3, we have explosive pop-up. This is one of the first things to falter when people get tired. They can't do the same sort of explosiveness with their upper body for their push, for their pop-up, and naturally their pop-up begins to falter, and they start to kook waves and make more mistakes. Number 4, we have rotational power and control. Day 1, people have a lot of this thoracic rotation, their turns are looking good. By day 5 or 6, when their core and everything is beginning to tire, those turns have lost a lot of their power. We want to ensure that doesn't happen by working on this area. Number 5 is crucial, especially if you have a very sedentary lifestyle. It is your hip mobility. It's a buzzword that's used a lot. It's essentially how much range can you get through your hips? How strong are your hips? It's all very well being very flexible, but if you don't have the strength to actually do a pop-up, it's not much good. And are you able to keep that hip mobility throughout the week so your pop-up looks the same on day 10 as it did on day 1? And number 6 is your conditioning. It's your heart and lungs. How strong are they? How efficient are they? When you paddle out, are you gasping for air? Is your heart rate really, really high? Or are you calm? Can you control your breathing? And you're able to keep paddling all day. So we've got a definition of surf-specific training. We know where most surfers fit into one of 3 categories. And we know the 6 demands, or 6 most important demands of surfing. But how does this translate into real life? When you enter the gym or you go into your home workout space, what do you need to be doing? Let's head over to the gym and we're going to look at a few examples of how you can actually level up your training right now. So we've looked at some of the errors that surfers make when training for a trip or training for surf. What should we be doing instead? At its base level, any sport-specific program, be it surfing, skating, football, should work on the weaknesses of the athlete. So for surfing, let's think about it with those 6 pillars we spoke about earlier. Let's say every time you paddle out, your heart and your lungs are absolutely gassed, you're out of breath. You need to dedicate a little bit more time and energy into your conditioning. Let's say your pop-up sucks. You have the pop-up of a 100-year-old, you can barely get to your feet, you use both your knees. This means we need to dedicate more time into our hip mobility and maybe less time on our conditioning. Finally, let's say your shoulders and your upper body are cooked. Every time you get out back, you can barely get your arms to paddle like this. That means you need to dedicate more time to upper body push training, maybe some overhead work, some shoulder mobility. Great, and you're going to improve that. The tricky part comes when you're trying to figure out which dials to spin and which dials to turn down. Because if I put in more hip mobility training into a client's program, it has to be the time and the energy has to be taken away from somewhere else. That is where working with a coach is really important. They will figure out where we should dedicate your time and energy, because you can't do everything in one training program to the same level. The second most important part of any surf-specific training program would be exercise selection. And I am a massive fan of choosing movements, choosing exercises which put you through a big range of motion, or a big ROM. The reason that this is so important is we get comfortable, we get used to being in positions that our body normally isn't put into. We get strong in these positions, we're more resistant to injury, and we build more athleticism. So a couple of examples. Let's take it super simple, back to basics. Instead of doing a normal push-up where my hands are here and I get this much range, I could go to a deficit push-up. I'm putting my body into this much range, more flexion at the elbow, more flexion at the shoulder, and I'm getting stronger through a bigger range of motion. This is hugely beneficial for surfing. A second good example would be a reverse lunge or any form of lunge. Yes, I can get super strong at a lunge pattern like this, where I get, 90-degree flexion at the knee. In surfing, we're doing a lot more flexion than that. We're often in these positions, so a great variation might be a deficit reverse lunge, where I stand on something, I lunge back, way more flexion at the knee. I'm getting strong in these positions I'm not used to being in. This is going to be hugely beneficial when you're actually in the water. Number 3, question I get quite a lot is the rep ranges we should be working through when we're training for surfing. What I would caveat this by saying is that even if you choose the most surf-specific rep ranges in the world, if you're not training to a good intensity, i.e. going close to failure, it doesn't matter. That is the most important thing. But with regards to rep ranges, lower body, I feel for surf, we want to have strong, powerful legs that can absorb a lot of force, and they can also exert a lot of force. For this, we're going to be doing low reps, a lot of weight, medium sets. So a typical kind of block for maybe a main lift on lower body for me would be 3 to 6 reps, maybe 3 to 5 sets. Good amount of weight, getting strong, powerful legs like so. I feel like the upper body in surfing is a little bit different. We need an upper body that can paddle literally thousands of times during a session. We're doing thousands of reps with our shoulders, with our lats, with our mid-back. For this reason, I like to choose slightly higher rep ranges. Maybe with pull-ups, we're going for max reps, 8 to 10 reps. Maybe for a lat pull down, we're doing 10 to 12. Just getting the upper body able to do a lot of work, have good stamina, so that when you're in the water, your body can mimic this and you're able to surf and paddle for a long time. Now, number 4, let's talk about training splits. How are we splitting up your training throughout the week? This is very, very individual. It depends on how much time you can dedicate to training, how many sessions per week. But what I would say is a traditional kind of bro split, where you're training chest and shoulders and back and biceps on different day, is not the best way to go for surfing, for many obvious reasons, okay? You don't need to blast your chest with loads of work on a Tuesday and not train it again till the next Tuesday. What I prefer with surfers generally is full body sessions with a focus. It might be a pushed focus session where we're doing a lot of push work. It might be a pull focus session where we're pulling and we're doing pull-ups and lat pull down. We're going to include core work throughout the week, but full body is a great way to split up your training. What I would caveat that with again is if you are someone that surfs a lot, you might want to have an upper and a lower session in your training too. The reason for this is if you are surfing the next day, I personally don't like to do a big upper session on a Tuesday night and then go surf Wednesday morning. I feel it. So having that variation in your program means you've got full body, you've got an upper, you've got a lower, and you can base your training around the week, depending on your rest, your recovery, the surf, what types of waves you're surfing, and make it really, really individual to you. Number 5, and a training methodology I feel is really, really good to use with athletes and surfers, is using supersets and using circuits, okay? So instead of a training plan where it's one exercise, next, a little bit boring, not ideal if you're looking to do a lot of work in a short amount of time. I like using supersets where we can do one exercise straight into another one and we get more work done in less time. It's also very useful because we are working under fatigue, which is something you're going to do in the water. A good example would be working in antagonistic pairs where the first movement might be a push movement. Let's use that deficit push-up again, where we are pushing the world away. And we might superset that with something like a bent over row, where we are using the totally opposing muscles The first exercise doesn't affect the second exercise in any way, so we're getting twice as much work done, and a great way to mimic how you're actually going to work under fatigue in the water. And then number 6, the last part of the puzzle would be your conditioning training. If you are looking to improve your performance in the water, you are going to want to do some conditioning unless you're surfing every day. What I would say there is just like the supersets and conditioning is mimicking what you're actually going to do in the water. So when we surf, we're typically paddling at a relatively low intensity, like 5 out of 10 on the paddle out. We then have a short, intense burst where we catch the wave, get to our feet and surf down the line, maybe 10 to 20 seconds, depending on where you surf. And then we repeat that cycle. We paddle back out, we might even rest for a minute, and then we do those short, intense bursts. So if you're on a rower, if you're on a ski, I love those both, maybe even an assault bike, you could even do this running. We're just trying to get our heart rate to emulate what you actually do in the water. Short burst, and then a longer kind of zone 2 paddle out, maybe even a slight rest, repeat. That is going to be the best way to mimic what you do in the water and ultimately improve your conditioning for surfing. And then the final points, and these aren't just for a surf-specific training program, they are general points for any sort of training, and they're probably the most important. Number 1 is consistency. And now I don't mean that you need to be smashing the gym 7 times a week to make progress. What I mean by consistency is that you do this for long enough to see results. So many people, 2 weeks out from their trip, they start training, and lo and behold, they don't see any progress because they haven't had enough time to actually create enough stimulus to change. You need to be doing this for a reasonable amount of time. You know, 4 weeks is great, 8 weeks is better, 3 months before the trip, and you're going to be in a very, very different place as long as you are consistent. The second most important point is the underlying point of any good training program, and that is progressive overload. Doesn't matter what sport you're training for, you need to be doing more work each week if possible. What I mean by that is a little bit more weight than you did last week. Maybe an extra rep on your main exercise. It could be you are moving through more range. So for example, week 1, you're doing push-ups, week 2, you're doing deficit push-ups. This is what causes the body to adapt, and it causes the body to improve and get stronger and build muscle and build athleticism. So without those 2 things, the 6 previous points are irrelevant. You've got to be consistent and you've got to do more work each week. So lots of information to take in there. If you want to be the surfer that's still waking up for the Dawny at 6 a.m. on the 10th day of your trip when everyone else is cooked, you need to be consistent with your training. The earlier you start, the better. And the more personalized the training is for you, the better results you're going to get as you work on your weaknesses. If you want to check out an example of a great surf-specific training session, it is tagged in the blog post below, and you can see that and you can do that and let me know how you get on. And if you are looking for someone to provide knowledge, structure, and accountability so you cannot fail, you will be in incredible shape for your trip, the fittest you've ever been and the best you've ever felt in the water, the link to my training website is below too. If you have any questions about anything in this video, please drop them below. I can talk about surf and surf travel and Maldives and surf coaching and training all day. So I will get back to each and every single comment. And the final point is we dropped our 2020 schedule today, actually. So 2026 is almost fully booked. We've got a handful of spots. If you want to travel with us next year, do not wait. Some trips, private cabins are already sold and we only release spots today. So if you want to score the Maldives or Sumatra, and we've got a couple extra trips next year, click the link below, get in touch, and we will get those spots secured for you so you'll be surfing paradise in 2027. Thank you so much for watching, and any questions, just pop them in the comments below.